Hi everyone, this is Tisch Aitken, and it is June 24th, 2021, and we just had the full moon at 2:40 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 3 degrees and 28 minutes of the cardinal earth sign of Capricorn. And this full moon officially releases the eclipse season because it's the first lunation we've had since we had the eclipses. We had a total lunar eclipse that took place on May 26th at 5 degrees and 25 minutes of the mutable fire sign of Sagittarius. And it was a south node eclipse with a lot of endings and release, and it squared Jupiter in Pisces. So that expanded a lot of things getting uncovered in our lives, as well as the endings and the heavy emotions. Then we had a solar eclipse that took place on June 10th at 19 degrees and 47 minutes of the mutable air sign of Gemini. And this eclipse squared Neptune within a few degrees, and it also set off where Neptune has been transiting, because it's been going back and forth between approximately 18 degrees and 23 degrees of the mutable water sign of Pisces for the last couple of years. It was at 19 degrees of Pisces last year, and this eclipse squares Neptune, and eclipses often make us see things in a way we never have before. They can end things, they can bring things to light, uncover hidden information, and when you have a solar eclipse squaring Neptune, that can definitely uncover hidden emotions, hidden information rather, heavy emotions, perhaps that were concealed or buried in some way. But Mercury has been retrograde in the midst of all of this, and it just stationed direct on June 22nd at 24 degrees, no, not at 24, at 16 degrees of the mutable air sign of Gemini. So we're officially out of eclipse season as of today. Mercury stationed direct 2 days ago on June 22nd at 16 degrees of the mutable air sign of Gemini. And that is where Mercury was on May 15th. It got to 16 degrees of Gemini, and then it stationed retrograde on May 29th at 24 degrees of the mutable air sign of Gemini. And when it stationed retrograde, it directly opposed where the solar eclipse was on December 14th of 2020. So that eclipse that ended towards the end of last year, Mercury set that point off and has been giving us a lot of information. We've been in eclipse season. Mercury was out of bounds for the majority of the month of May, which means it's beyond 23 degrees and 27 minutes north or south of the equator. So Mercury has been acting as if it were retrograde really since the beginning of May. It just stationed direct, but it was a big player in the solar eclipse on June 10th. It was only within a degree of the solar eclipse. So more things getting brought to light, but with Mercury translating so many messages and tales. And things have been incredibly emotional and very confusing, because mutability provides a lot of options and choices. And since the middle of May, let's see, Mercury entered Gemini, the mutable air sign of Gemini, on May 3rd, and it officially leaves on July 11th. It clears its shadow on July 7th, which means it exceeds 24 degrees of Gemini. So we're still working with some of the things we've been working with since Mercury, was retrograde, but at least it's direct now. That helps a lot. But how do I say this? So we've had Mercury in Gemini. Jupiter, the grand benefic, which is the luckiest planet, entered the mutable water sign of Pisces on May 13th. It will be there until July 28th. It loves being in Pisces. It expands through emotions and compassion and creativity and selfless love. But it can expand the confusion, and it can expand the heavy sense of loss and the heavy sense of directionlessness that a lot of people feel. This is not a time of feeling grounded. It is a time of being creative and of surrendering in a certain way in order to manifest the magic, also letting go of things that are no longer serving you. And I think this week really brings it home, because Mercury stationed direct on the 22nd. Then on the 23rd, Venus opposed Pluto last evening at 7:29 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and they're still opposite. And in the full moon chart for today, I cast it for Washington, D.C., and it has Libra rising, which means that Venus rules the chart, and Venus is the top of the chart, conjunct the house of career and public image, directly opposite Pluto within a degree. And Pluto is conjunct the angle of home and family and security. Many are having to purge what feels secure, or letting go of security in order to reinvent in this time. We are no longer in the eclipses, but the full moon today sets off where the solar eclipse was on December 26th of 2019. What stories were you working with then at the end of the year as we were beginning 2020, and before Saturn and Pluto met up at 22 degrees of the cardinal earth sign of Capricorn and changed the world and brought down many structures in our lives? So we're getting stories from that eclipse in the end of December of 2019. We're getting stories from the eclipse in December 14th of 2020. And we're dealing with the Mercury retrograde story. It's almost out of Gemini. It's still in its dignity. But now we're dealing with two stations in Pisces this week. So therefore, the Neptunian energy is very, very strong. Jupiter, which is the luckiest planet, officially stationed retrograde on June 20th at 11:06 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 2 degrees and 11 minutes of the mutable water sign of Pisces. Jupiter loves being in Pisces, but again, it can be very emotional and ungrounded. And we feel that station 5 days before and 5 days after, and that's expanding the heavy emotional intensity. Venus opposed Pluto yesterday. That could have brought big breakups and endings and power plays and letting go of things that no longer serve you. That can be painful, obviously. Then we have a full moon today, just the day before Neptune stations retrograde at 3:21 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on June 25th at 23 degrees of the mutable water sign of Pisces. Neptune is the modern ruler, and it represents the dream. We feel that 5 days before and 5 days after. A lot of need to rest and restore. A lot of people could be acting very, very hard to, how do I say? They will be acting very Neptunian. They might act very confusing or hard to understand, or maybe you yourself are being that way. A lot of us may not be conscious of how we appear to others right now. And I know that happened to me earlier today inadvertently. And so for many, that is something that could be happening for you yourself. Maybe you're not recognizing how you're taking action, how that may be coming off to another person. And so a lot of people could be misinterpreting. Although Mercury is now direct, it does not feel direct yet. And so recognize that the Neptunian energy is strong. People could act just out there. I can't even think of the words right now because I feel very Neptunian. But the sensitivity and the emotion is high right now. Honor that energy. Today is the full moon. Take your crystals, if you have them, cleanse them. I'm going to work with a clear quartz point later that I'm going to cleanse. I like to do it in cold water, running water, and I think of the intentions that I want to work with, and I really focus on it. And today is a good day for cleansing. If you have a little bit of cinnamon, sprinkle the cinnamon outside your door. That brings abundance. You want to clear the space to manifest abundance. And I would do anything you can to honor the energy of letting go of structures and restrictions that are releasing you. If you feel inclined to, cleanse your entire house right now, go for it. If you're tired, which many of us feel right now, maybe take a sea salt bath or an Epsom salt bath or any kind of bath and cleanse the energy. Get rid of this restrictive energy. It's been very emotionally intense. And over the weekend, Venus leaves the cardinal water sign of Cancer and it enters the fixed fire sign of Leo on June 27th at 12:27 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And it will be there until July 21st. And that's good for creativity and fun and romance and having a good time. So it'll be less mutability in the sky, although Venus is not transiting an immutable sign, but it's fixed fun and it's courage and it's love. So right now, again, the Neptunian energy is strong. Jupiter just stationed retrograde on the summer solstice on June 20th at 2 degrees of Pisces. Now Neptune, which is the dream, is stationing retrograde tomorrow on June 25th at 23 degrees of the mutable water sign of Pisces. That's like swimming in very confusing waters. And, it's really like, I don't know what to liken it to right now, but it's very surreal, confusing, magical, fantastic, whatever you want to say. So good luck, hang in there, feel the emotions, get rest, and do healing work, and take care.